to Charmed Life, a radio show discussing spirituality, magic, and the unconditional love of the universe. Thanks for tuning in. And I am your host, Tricia Carr. Thank you so much for joining me this Sunday morning. We're broadcasting live from the Universal Broadcasting Studios in Sunset Gower, in the Sunset Gower Studios. Did I say all those things? Those were a lot of words. Basically, all of those words were right. I mean, Google can figure it out, right? We're live at 11 a.m. Pacific. It's Sunday morning. Good morning. If you've just come from church, well, hallelujah. And if you just came from brunch, cheers. And you're welcome if you just woke up as well. But I want you guys to know that there are many ways that you can catch this show, and however you do catch this show, I am so grateful for you. And when you do watch the show, or when you share, like, or comment, you are actually contributing your light to the intention of the show, which is to help us all connect with unconditional love. So thank you and welcome, and I appreciate you so much. I am really excited about what's happening here in this beautiful planet of ours, on this beautiful Gaia, this being of high light order. And her name is Gaia, and she loves us, and she wants us to be abundant, and she wants us to be well and vitalized, because that's what she is. So thank you for being here. That is a big blessing to me, and I send it right back to you. And if you are just joining us for the first time, you can also catch this in archives on YouTube, youtube.com/Tricia Carr, and on all kinds of podcast outlets like iTunes, Stitcher, Spreaker, and I'm on iHeartRadio. Hallelujah. Yay, yay. I don't know why I'm saying how much hallelujah today. I'm feeling the church. Jarvis, did you go to church recently? No. Oh, no. Don't tell your mama, though, right? Jarvis and I both come from the church, so some of it sneaks in sometimes. But only the good stuff. All right. I want to tell you all about a mentoring program that I'm doing. I'm very, very excited to welcome folks into this. It's a very intense one-on-one mentoring that I do, too. One is developing your intuitive abilities so that they actually become skills that you can rely upon to do your healing on this planet, to help others the way that your heart is just resonating for you to do. So that's one program, and the other one is successful spiritual entrepreneurs, so that if you do have those skills and those gifts, you also get the opportunity to continue to hone those and develop new skills that you can market, because that is the system that we're in right now. And wouldn't it be great if we who are naturally compassionate, spiritual seekers, wanting to usher in and allow more love on this plane to bring that, raise our vibration. Wouldn't it be great if we also were the ones who were making the choices with that monetary system that we have, and we were actually helping others with it, and we were the ones who were probably not going to be lobbying for chemicals to be dumped into areas that they shouldn't be dumped into, because that's what happens with the people that have a lot of the money. All right, I'm not being negative. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I think that we all would do better to understand that we are the ones who can connect with abundance and wellness and freedom. Doesn't that give us all freedom? But to be able to help more people too. So you can find, if you wanted to check out my mentoring programs or any of the work that I do, TriciaCarrCharm.com. All right, I think that's about it for business, and I'm really excited about today's show. I have a really awesome, powerful person, a guest today. His name is Patrick Haize. He is a philosopher, poet, and a hip-hop bard, and he specializes in lifestyle transformation and overcoming addictions. Wow, what a powerful combination. I love that. And he's able to help people harness their potential and transform themselves. So please welcome Patrick to the show. Patrick?
Hey. How's it?
Good, we have some overlap. I'll not talk over you. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Just enjoying myself. We're here in Massachusetts. I hosted a retreat here a few weeks ago at my friend's property. He's got 30 acres. So I'm in this little inside room, as you can see in the background.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's beautiful. We're on a pond right here and just, soaking up the nature.
Oh, I love it. That's actually what I want my living room to be like inside, outside, where the roof can just retract. And I guess
I agree.
Have maybe a little bit of a screen so that birds don't do their business on you. That's
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
That's beautiful. And what is the weather like? It looks like it's pretty warm and.
It's been surprisingly cold
Oh,
here and rainy. It's probably rained maybe 60% of the time, but today is beautiful. It's actually nice that it hasn't been too hot, because when it gets too hot, the mosquitoes really get going. So it's
mm.
actually been pretty perfect on the sunny days.
Oh, great. Well, and if you're listening to this in an archive, it is July. What is it, the 29th, 8th? It's the 29th, I think.
Yeah, I'm so
Late
the
July.
Gregorian calendar.
It's late July.
Yeah.
It's when it's generally warm in the United States of America. And by the way, so Patrick's partner, Bridget Nielsen, was on my show a couple months ago, I think it was. So is Bridget there with you as well?
Yeah,
Great.
she's off in the other room doing
Oh.
some sort of work stuff now. Yeah.
That's beautiful. Well, I want to hear about the retreat, but let's let everyone know about you. Let's talk about. Well, you want to tell us about your journey, the work that you're doing. Let everyone know what you're up to.
You kind of chopped a little bit
Okay.
there, in and out. I think I got what you were asking. Journey's been a long one. Let's see. I started off. I've always been interested in more evolutionary topics, and always felt a strong draw to them. Like most kids that are open, you could say. I had a hard time as a child. I was diagnosed with different disorders and whatnot, put on medications like Adderall and Zoloft when I was younger.
Wow.
And when those prescription medications that were very consciousness shifting, not in necessarily a good way, they led to a later evolution of drug use that I went through for a good portion of my 20s. And when I started having more of my major awakenings towards my mid and late 20s, I cleaned up and really started taking the health path, the spiritual path. And a lot of things started opening up for me. And so it's brought me kind of to this point now. I've always been a big fan of music, and now music is probably where my heart goes first. I love making hip hop. So the hip hop bard is how I've labeled it. And essentially, what I like to do musically is bridge philosophical truths and helpful kind of self-help philosophies with the emotional aspect that comes from music. So I can create kind of a multidimensional experience where people can feel the vibe of music, but also have something that's psychologically satisfying. I noticed when I was a child, oftentimes I would listen to these songs and I would have such a deep emotional experience from these songs, but oftentimes the words would not really match up to the experience that I had emotionally. And since I grew up with hip hop music, I found that hip hop's a great way to really express myself just by the sheer volume of words. So much more can be articulated through a hip hop song, oftentimes, than other songs. So it gives me the opportunity to be very philosophical and bring a lot of words through to explain some of these different, philosophies and topics and self-help techniques that I like to bring across in the music. So that's a big part of my life. Also, I, host retreats around the world. Bridget and I are, all over the place hosting different things. Sedona, we just did one here in Massachusetts, and we do them in Hawaii every year too, swimming with dolphins and whales. And then I'm an addiction counselor. So I work with people that have addictions. I help them overcome that and help them transform their lifestyle. Basically, that's been I've gone from, homeless drug addict to, it's kind of rags to riches. Not that I'm like super rich or anything, but Cinderella story of really like being at the bottom of the bottom and stepping into something that is, I'm really a different person now. And I know what that experience is like and what that transformation takes. So I do my best to pay it forward and help anybody else that may be on the edge or the precipice of something that could be very transformational for them, and kind of giving them the tools to step through that and step into a new way of being.
That's beautiful. Wow. Thank you for sharing your story. That's really amazing. And I mean, you are rich. Riches is more than just the cash, but I think the cash is good too.
Cash is good too.
The cash is good too. There's nothing wrong with it. I'm saying that today. It feels like there are some folks that maybe that is kind of a painful subject. So it's okay.
It's a tricky one.
It's a tricky one, yeah. It because it isn't really natural to us, but it's here. I mean, I guess it's somewhat natural because we created it, but at the same time, it's interesting. I don't remember who it was, but someone was having holding a conference with some, I think Andromedons, with some ETs basically, who were higher, fifth dimensional, more benevolent and more ascended than the Earth plane is right now. And he was explaining to them money and monetary system. And he's like, they asked him, like, why would you pay to live on your own planet? We're like, I don't know, but that's what we do.
Yeah, it's a good point. It's a good point. Yeah. The money thing's tricky. It's, it's definitely a razor's edge to walk, because there's so much of the financial institution is based off of industry that destroys the planet, or in some ways like snake oil sales or some sort of swindling act. Right. So I think one of the major transition points, and I talk with people about this when I'm working with them, one of the major transition points for us in coming into ourselves is learning how to find a way to really give back that supports us financially. Yes. And in the world that we live in today, until we're fully sovereign and we've, extracted enough resources from the system or the world as it is to create a stable environment that's self-sustaining outside of that system, we have to involve ourselves in the economic world just to survive. Yeah. And so how can we put ourselves in a position where we can do something that is truly giving back and doing good for people, but also financially supports us and can also compete with other, industries or other people in a similar niche that may not have those same moral standards. And that's a tricky thing because, if there's one organic food company that doesn't have moral standards and they're cutting their costs down and they're, in competition with another organic company that does have high standards, I mean, how are they going to be able to compete monetarily? And this is where it really calls upon us to be innovative so that we can really bring through a higher dimensional expression of ourselves and be supported by that.
That's great. Yeah. Excuse me. Yes, that's beautiful. And that is tricky. I mean, we're talking about the food, we're talking about water even, and water rights, and it's getting close to, I don't think they're going to be able to do it, but they've actually been trying to figure out how to somehow monetize air. Have you heard of
well,
this
in China,
conspiracy?
they're even people are buying air in China because the pollution is so bad that they have to buy extra. It reminds me of that movie Spaceballs. I don't know if you ever saw that movie Spaceballs, but it was like it was like a joke movie based off of Star Wars.
Yeah.
And one of the scenes in it, one of the guys is breathing Perry air, and it was this canned air that he would crack open and breathe. But I always think about that because it's like, we have to walk around with a gas mask on when the pollution gets bad enough. Yeah. But you think they are trying to monetize air. Same thing they did with water.
Exactly. Well, that's what's so funny about that joke is that, flashback to 100 years ago, not really even that long ago, well, even 60. And it would be hilarious to think that we were just purchasing fancy water.
We're buying water out of a bottle, right?
Water comes from the sky.
I know, right?
And it collects itself. I don't understand this. Well, I would love to talk about your work in addiction counseling. Is there, I'm going to ask you, what about 12-step? Is that something that you embrace, or I love to talk about the 12-step kind of model. Where are you on that?
Well, I worked the 12 steps when I was a teenager. I went to alternative school for a little sobriety high school. I think there's only in the country. I was in one in Marin County, and the 12 steps definitely has a lot of very potent medicine in it. And so I'm not wholly opposed to the 12 steps, though there are some things as I've evolved and kind of developed more of a self-empowered foundation of psychology. that I'm kind of opposed to for my path and for what I recommend that's associated with the 12 steps.
Yeah.
It's the idea of powerlessness. Like one of the major steps is the first step is admitting that you're powerless over, either drugs or alcohol, and that your life has become unmanageable. And while there's some measure of truth to that, especially in the beginning, I think that overall it can be disempowering for an individual to really step into themselves if they're constantly operating from a frame of being powerless. And I feel like what ends up happening oftentimes in the 12-step communities is that people kind of swap their addiction for drugs to an addiction in a sense of 12-step, the 12-step groups in society. And while there, again, is a lot of positive benefit in a lot of areas there's also a lot of unstable, people in those environments. And it's not always best to be around a bunch of other unstable people when you're trying to learn how to be stable yourself. And so for me, I try to encourage people to learn how to find their true empowerment as opposed to live a lifestyle of being disempowered. But other than that, the 12 steps is actually really amazing. It's the process of cleaning house, doing your own personal introspection, healing all your past relationships, getting in touch with a higher power or something, realizing that you're connected to something greater and you can be something greater. These are all extremely powerful tools that come through the 12 steps. And I actually credit working the 12 steps and being involved in those 12-step programs, young child, as being one of the catalysts that really brought me into a different way of navigating.
Yeah, I agree. And what I think is really important is to realize that it is a tool. And this is something that I teach my clients, or I just teach the people that I work with about, that basically everything in this duality experience, everything that you identify as something else is a tool. It's your soul reaching for enlightenment or ascension, growth by identifying and partnering with something else. And so the 12 steps, I think it's like a really good religion. And I say really good compared to some other religions, but it can be dogmatic but it's all about you. Like, you're responsible for making something dogmatic. You can have a lot of enlightenment in an organized religion, and you can have a lot of spiritual growth. But it still comes back to you. If you continue to give all of the power to the dogma or to that system or tool, then it's going to limit you, because it's something that's limited. It's created by someone's limited perspective, and but like, I agree with you. It's a really good framework. The part that I think can be also limiting is the ever identification of I am,
an alcoholic. I am
yeah.
a drug addict.
Because your mind believes anything after I am. It believes it, and you're identifying it. And I understand the point of that is to remind yourself of that, so that you don't, because you have there's a chemical thing, and there's
keeps you from being in denial.
It keeps you from being in denial
about your issue.
And yeah, exactly. And then just saying, well, I can, engage, and I can do that again. So I understand but still there's a shadow side of what that can mean. What you place after I am is you identify with it, and your mind believes it. So yeah, I am an alcoholic. I'm an addict. That's disempowering, like you were saying. So, but again, I think it's a wonderful place to start. So many people find healing in it, but just to remember that when you've worked them and you really have gotten to a place of healedness to a certain degree, that it's good to start doing some other stuff too. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. You
move up
step away from that. I really like what you were saying. It's this idea of pick and choose, and we really at this day and age, there's so much information out there. There's so many different paths that we can take. There's so many dogmas, but there's so many jewels in all of these different paths, and we really have the opportunity now, especially with the internet and all this information, to really search around and pick and choose from many different ways and traditions, and use what works best for us. But it can be an amazing, tremendous jump off point. Definitely the AA and NA, and I'm very grateful for what came through it for me.
That's great. What is your, how would you characterize, or how do you help folks in your addiction counseling? What is it? It's a coaching sort of situation. Is that the model kind of?
Yeah, typically I work with people either in person or over the phone, but what I really work with them on is, deep core beliefs and emotional traumas that have led to the cyclical pattern of addiction. A lot of it's very personalized depending on who I'm working with, but essentially I work with foundational philosophical tools that help an individual realize their own potential and their own abilities. And I use that kind of as a foundation work. And then I move more into emotional trauma release. And therefore, then after the foundation has been built of powering philosophy, then when we kind of move the emotions out of the way and they fall back onto that, philosophy can become more and more realized into their life. But yeah, I work over the phone and in person. And I really like to focus on a big part is health and vitality, because one of the biggest issues, and this was another issue I found pretty common in the 12-step circles, was there's so much coffee, cigarettes, kind of the addiction swapping there. Yeah. Not in all of it, but in a lot of it. When what I found myself is that one of the most important things about detoxing, about coming into a new way of being and really being able to support a higher vibration in your life, is supporting it in your physiology. And through diet, exercise, and conscious lifestyle, we really give ourselves the biological foundation to house a higher vibration and bring more light into us. And if we're running around eating fast food and smoking cigarettes, we're not really giving ourselves the opportunity to step into a greater expression and truly transform. So a lot of it I actually focus on how to transition to a healthier lifestyle as one of the major foundations for transformation from an addiction to a addiction-free living.
That's right. Yeah, because the Holy Trinity actually is mind, body, and spirit. And it is even though that's a Trinity, it's actually a singularity, and one affects the other. So if you are, it's interesting. I actually see it because I work with a lot of highly sensitive people, empathic nature and stuff like that. And we have to work on their emotional body. And their emotional body, when it is functioning inaccurately, when it's turned in upon itself, it's basically like an autoimmune disease, because that feeling that people who are highly empathic, they feel like they're absorbing everything and they feel victimized by it. It's really like their emotional body has an autoimmune disease. And then a lot of times those people literally have autoimmune diseases in their physical body. And autoimmune disease is where your body attacks itself, and it's not supposed to do that. So, and then the mind, the mind is affected by the body, is affected by the spirit, so you have to focus. I agree. That's something that can be overlooked. I think that the 12 steps is working on the spiritual and the mind, which is great, but there's a piece missing.
Yeah, it's very cyclical. The mind, the body feeds the mind. You are what you eat. The vibrations we bring into our bodies affect the quality of our thinking. Yes. And the quality of our thinking affects the health of our physiology. So it's really a cyclical relationship between the two, and they need to be taken that way.
I completely agree. By the way, we are taking calls. I don't think I even mentioned that. 323-524-2599. And we do have a caller. Patrick, would you be cool if we took a call?
Yeah, go for it.
Great, let's go. Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hi, my name's Stacy.
Stacy, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Great.
Nice to finally talk to you. I've been listening to your shows for a while.
Oh, thank you so much. I appreciate that. And we have Patrick Haize on with us as well.
Nice to meet you, Patrick.
Hey, good to meet you, Stacy. Welcome.
What's going on today, Stacy?
Oh, no, I was listening to some of the show, and I thought I'd give a call. Just going through a huge transition in my life, and just looking to see if you guys see anything for the future. I've been trying to study a lot, and sorry, that's my daughter. Just studying a lot, and trying to find my purpose.
Okay, great. Well, studying is wonderful. I think that what I'm hearing is to go ahead and give yourself permission to be to be one who has arrived, to be in the place of being powerful and being you're studying, but you're also capable of being a teacher. You are a teacher. And when I say capable of being a teacher is because that's where the energy is right now, is the waiting, almost like the waiting to exhale, that you can go ahead and start believing and vibrating to that, even though the physical, the now, it hasn't manifested as such, but the pre-manifestation of it is to connect with the energy of it and to know that you know your power. I feel like you do need to be taking care of yourself a little bit more too. It's more about time. It's more about sacrificing yourself for others. Is that true? Do you resonate with that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying my best to meditate more and take out more time for myself, to go out for a walk in the park, or
that's great.
Just being with my daughter, and she's got a good vibe herself, so it's fun hanging out with her. And then sometimes I just go off on my own and going to spiritual meetings in my area and just trying to be with people, going through different things.
That's great. That's great. Well, again, I really feel like there is power that you are just not identifying with right now, that you are ready to connect with your purpose. You don't need to find your purpose. You are your purpose. Your purpose is right there. And I think maybe some conscious, like, affirmation kind of practice, that kind of control meditation, where, like, basically affirmations and identifying with that role, that higher purpose, because I can feel it. I can feel how much you're so compassionate. You have this really powerful gift of compassion and being very present for others. So again, that we need to be a little more present for yourself, which I like that you're doing that. I think that if you spend more, we want it to be every single day though, because when you withdraw your consciousness from this plane in sleep, we want to start it in the morning again, and start with some time, with in your own native land. And I totally get, spending time with your daughter and celebrating life that way. She's going to raise your vibration because she's better at it. She's closer to unconditional love.
It's really interesting. It's interesting you say that because she does raise my vibration, and it seemed like she raises vibrations for us too. I just
absolutely.
A party for a friend of mine, her daughter's birthday, and everyone was just drawn to us. Like, I had 10 people come up to me instantly, and they're just in awe of her, and it was just kind of nice to see her bring that out in others and make them smile and that sort of thing. And I guess that's what I want to do eventually when I figure out, exactly. I know I have a higher purpose. I'm just trying to figure out what that is.
Yeah. Patrick, go ahead.
Yeah. So I heard you mentioning earlier also that it's the purpose. You're kind of searching for purpose. Is that correct? You feel something coming, bubbling in you, but you're not sure exactly where to put your energy.
Yeah, I've always felt that. I'm like, oh, well, maybe it's in my career, and I got the career I wanted, and I'm like, there's more here. I'm trying to. There's something brewing, and I'm just trying to dabble into it.
Well, a really good tool that I use when I'm working with people to help them kind of tune into what, in a sense, their soul mission is based off of the understanding that typically what keeps people from finding what their passion is some sort of wounding that has happened in the lower three chakras. So wounding that creates a sense of fear that there is not a level of safety that is sufficient, and also, or maybe not enough money. So survive, in the basic lower chakra, survival. So the fear of not being safe or having enough finances. The second wounding or fear would be of not being accepted by other people, or not feeling like we are valuable as human beings. And the third one being feeling disempowered, like we don't have the power to actually achieve, something that we may feel the aspirations to do. So I like to ask a question to people that maybe can help clarify what their mission is. And that is, if you knew that you were completely safe and that you would be financially supported no matter what you did, You also knew that you'd be loved by the people around you and that you had a very strong, tangible value to offer other people. And you also knew that you were empowered enough that whatever you chose to do, you would 100% be successful at what you were doing. Then ask yourself what you would do at that point. And by doing that, you're basically you're tuning into a space within your own consciousness that would have naturally arisen had you have grown up in a more utopian environment in which those three foundational human needs were already met. Because typically at this time, I mean, people are running around just trying to make money, just trying to be accepted, or just trying to be powerful. And that comes out in a lot of perverted expressions. So if you can really tune into yourself and ask yourself what you would do if all three of those foundational requirements were already met, that can bring a lot of clarity to what your soul really wants to do in this world and how it wants to express.
That's great.
And it's so weird that you mentioned the chakra thing, because I had some Reiki done maybe about a year ago, before my daughter was even thought of, and my friend did it, and she said, "Oh, your chakras are open. It's just your solar plexus was, And she didn't know at the time I was having digestive issues, and when I had my daughter and also the pregnancy, I didn't have any digestive issues.
I'm holding up to Stacy. I'm holding up to the camera right now. I wrote down solar plexus.
Mm.
Oh my God! So. And when she didn't even know that I was having health issues at all, she just said, "Yeah, I felt like a blockage," and I was just kind of freaking out inside because I got diagnosed with tuberculosis. So, but since I've had my daughter, I haven't had any health issues since then. So I laughingly say, "Oh, my daughter cured me," but even after she was born, she's 9 months old now. Still don't have any digestive issues, but the whole chakra thing with the financial, and I guess you could. You're right, Patrick. I don't know if I wanted to do in the whole finance aspect of it and trusting that it would be okay,
Yeah. Well, that's how we start to connect with it
right now, but
yeah, if you get in that space, if everything were, all the needs were met, and you can start to just get the feeling. Sometimes the feeling is all you need to do, and lean into the feelings of it. And it could be don't judge the answers. That people don't do that, and there's no way for me to have that job. We just want to go ahead and keep that lower mind chatter at bay. And the feeling of it, the feeling is I love talking to people, counseling them, and helping them. Then just move into that feeling deeper and have that practice every day. Kind of like when I was saying affirmations, and what Patrick is giving you is basically like a framework to do a conscious envisioning or a conscious feeling into that purpose. Give yourself that space every single morning to where it is a fun practice.
Almost like you guys. Oh, go ahead.
That's okay, sweetheart. Go ahead.
It's just really weird that you guys talk about stuff because it's already like this stuff has already happened to me, and just kind of, I feel like I'm supposed to counsel people and just trying to figure out, I'm trying to gain all the knowledge I can, and, my mom has told me that, on my mom's side that, her family has a lot of intuitive abilities, and then I just saw a cousin on Facebook that told me that on my dad's side that she comes from a long line of intuitive. She's a psychic medium, and it's like, I feel like I might be capable of these abilities. I guess I'm just have fear that I might not be able to help other people with my possible abilities.
Oh, well, again, that feels very solar plexus oriented, and I would recommend some I am affirmations, like we started the show with. I am connected to infinite intelligence. I am powerful. I am a child of the universe, and therefore I am inseparable from the universe. And therefore I am connected to natural healing power. And I am a channel for light. I am a channel for divine. These kinds of things to remind you that you don't have to go around and scramble and collect all of the knowledge and stock it up in a library so you have proof that you are a counselor of love and light. It's really about being just being open to the connection and being a willing channel is what it's about. Yeah. I think that both of those, that conscious envisioning, go back and write down what Patrick said and then do some of those I am affirmations in the morning. But you've got a lot of light, and you've got a lot of the presence that you bring. I can feel that, Patrick. Can't you feel that? The presence that she brings?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's powerful. That's what I wanted to say, was that it was that what you have is already enough.
Mm-hmm.
Your story, what you've been through, is enough, and it doesn't necessarily need to be, woven into something grandiose or flashy, but simply telling your story and what you've been through. Not only can that be a greater healing for yourself, but you'd be surprised how many people you can help just by sharing your story.
Yeah. Well, Stacy, thank you so much for calling in today, and really,
Thank you.
You've arrived and you're ready. You're ready. Thank you so much for sharing your light on the show and in the world. Appreciate you.
Well, thank you, Tricia and Patrick. Thanks for listening.
Yeah. Thanks for calling in.
Yeah. That was great. Talking about sharing your story, I don't share it on this show that much, but because I don't it's interesting, when we share our story, we don't want to vibrate to it either, the past, but sometimes it, like you say, it's very helpful for people to know. I think I did share a little bit of my story when my father passed. My father was an alcoholic and also very violent, and we had our home was violent. He beat my mother and also was pretty violent with at least one of my sisters, if not all of them. And, that's where I come from. And after that, I even had after we left my father, there was kind of a greater challenge with the next iteration of family that I had, that for me personally. So, even though I wasn't technically homeless, I almost was. I mean, when I was in my early 20s, I was a sort of rabid codependent, and the kind of empath who was completely, I didn't know that word, maybe not obviously, but I didn't know that word. And I was extremely wounded and extremely sick in my emotional body and not really able to function very well. And so I just wanted to share that my hero's journey, I guess, a little bit, just to touch upon it, because I feel really good about talking about it right now. I don't feel that I am vibrating to it. I feel like I'm extremely grateful for it, because transformation is really a work of alchemy, and taking that and turning it into gold and allowing it to become gold, your story, those parts of your story.
Yeah, and I completely agree. Thank you for sharing your story. I think it's so potent because we're in an age of building bridges, is like I like to explain it. And each one of us has come from some sort of different hardship. We've had to blossom through, some sort of different circumstance. And through sharing our stories, we're actually building bridges to other people that may be in similar situations that we came from. So this is why I feel like it's so important for us to share our story, while at the same time, as you've been mentioning, not getting stuck in our story. So in a sense, if we have to even vibrate there to resonate with somebody, but we're not afraid of that vibration because we've been there and we know how to leave, so we can then take them by the hand and walk across that bridge. Right. So it's really powerful to be able to share our stories, because there's many people in different walks of life that, if you don't know how to really speak from experience on certain things. If I'm working with a drug addict and I've never been there before, I can't really get in there with them because I don't know how to speak that language. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So all of the pain and discomfort that we've overcome in our lives actually become our greatest gifts for healing others, because it's our ability to be able to resonate with other people and then show them a doorway to something higher.
Right. Stand in that gap between where,
exactly.
And if they know that you've been there, then you are a living example of it. And so they believe it for themselves. And that's the beauty of the journey. We have another caller. We're going to take another caller. Patrick?
Yeah.
Great.
Good.
Almost. Hi, you're on the air. Who's this?
Hello. Hi, my name's Ashley.
Hi, Ashley. We have Patrick Haize on with
Ashley.
us as well.
How are you? Hello. I was wondering, I recently did the QHHT therapy a couple of days ago, and my higher self just did not my ego was too strong, and ever since then I've just been really struggling. I feel like there's an internal battle, and I'm not sure what do I need to do next?
Okay. So I just want to let everyone know QHHT is quantum healing hypnosis technique, and it was something that was a technique developed by Dolores Cannon, who is an author. She's passed now, and an author in addition to being a hypnotherapist, and really brought through a lot of powerful work in how we understand the universe. Some of her books are called The Convoluted Universe. I believe that's what it is. She has like a series of that. Are you familiar with her work, Patrick?
Sorry.
I'm familiar with that book, The Convoluted Universe. I have that somewhere on a bookshelf. I think I fingered through it.
Yeah.
I know Dolores Cannon too.
Right, of course. Okay, Ashley, so you said what now? You're saying that your higher self was what? I didn't understand that. With the QHHT?
Sorry, it didn't come through. It was just trying to, but my ego was too strong. And so the session, I didn't feel like I got what I was supposed to out of the session. And now I just feel like my insides they're fighting something, and I don't know how to calm it down or what to do next.
Okay. Well, I think we need to bring in some presence, because there's a bit of what's supposed to have happened. That's a non-present thing. And then also what did happen with that, the actual therapy session, the hypnosis session didn't work. And so when we have a lot of efforting, when we're trying really hard, then we're really just not being present. And presence, the now, is actually where source energy is, where the universe is, where God is. And by the way, it is where your higher self is. Your higher self is just God essence. It is the expression of source energy. So focusing on some daily meditation and being very present, just breathing for 10 minutes and not really trying to do anything, because we want to just be with the I am. I am is a big part of today's show, the I am, which is just the higher self, the eternal you. It is impossible for you to be separated or not connected or not an expression of, and not channeling, and not a perfect vessel of your higher self. That is what you are. And so being able to be in that space and accept that, because right now you're vibrating to, I'm separated from it. It didn't happen. You see what I mean? That's actually how this universe works, is you're identifying with, it didn't happen. I don't know what to do. So you can even just start with something very simple. Like Patrick was saying, he works with his, in his addiction counseling, that he works with the physical body and helping people to have healthier physical habits. Well, in this situation, the physical habit that you can easily start to work on is simply what you say with your mouth, the words that you say, because that is the physical manifestation. That is the physical aspect of your thinking and your spirit state. Does that make sense? So it's kind of easy. Yes, if you have the thought, then yeah, you're vibrating to that. But if you go ahead and you say it, then you've manifested it all the way. That is the physical expression of it. So we could start there. We could just back up right there and start trying to catch yourself when you say, I didn't connect with my higher self and I don't know what to do. But try to catch yourself before you say that and say, I am my higher self. I always know what to do. And go ahead and just say that. Even if you're saying it to someone, you could just go, oh, I just said that. You know what I mean? Like you could obviously say that to us and we wouldn't think you were crazy. So anytime you can just start there. And even when I just said that, I was like, ooh, that's true, because I believe in the limitlessness of the universe. And so therefore I'm connected to the universe because I am, I just am the universe with everybody else. So you can just start doing that, and that'll back up. That'll kind of do some back end work, retroact back into the beliefs, back into the thoughts, back into the feelings. It's a simple thing you could do right in this moment. Patrick, what do you think?
Okay.
Yeah, I think to add to that, I think she's right on. I mean, when we can start speaking our higher truths to ourselves, it may not feel real in the moment that we're saying it the first few times, but as we continue doing it with a genuine intention to bring the feeling through of what it really feels like to know that we are powerful, to know that we're connected, the more and more we tell ourselves that, the more believable it becomes, and till the next thing we know, we are really truly vibrating at the frequency of the statement that we've said to ourselves, and then really powerfully what happens is that the more that we can get into that knowing state of feeling empowered, whether it's just in a meditation at night or feeling connected, whether it's just in a meditation at night or whether it's in the morning before we get started the day, the more we can come into that space and get to know what that space feels like. I mean, it's going to fluctuate and we're going to move in and out, but the more we understand and make that connection, it creates a really open bridge or doorway to that higher expression of who we are. And then when we're feeling like we're going through trouble, we can kind of, we can bring that higher self version of ourselves to help counsel our lower self through the situation. So I found personally, it was really helpful not to, in a sense, just kind of shut my lower self up like you're locking a kid in the basement, but actually treat him more like a counselor would treat a wounded child. And so what I would do is spend a lot of time embodying the higher vibrations in meditative states and coming into these greater states of being. And then when I found that my lower self was acting up, I had a point of reference and I could call upon my higher self and then have kind of like a split personality counseling session in which my higher self would hold space for my lower self. And once you can start bringing your higher self into the dialogue when you're kind of stressed out or flipping out inside your head, the whole dynamic shifts, because what you'll notice is that more and more often you're playing the counselor role as opposed to the victim role or the stressed out role. And then eventually you just start being the counselor all the time. You start just being your higher self. So that's kind of like an idea of the bridge process of how you can kind of unite this higher self version with the illusory self that's still searching for a greater expression.
That's great, Patrick. That's exactly how I talk about the lower self or / the ego. Basically, it almost quite literally is a frightened child because the preponderance of that ego lower mind expression was developed before age 12. And so what would you do? Like you say, you wouldn't, if in literal terms, if you had a frightened child who was saying, "Where are we going? I'm scared," you wouldn't lock him in the basement or cut him out, kick him out of the car. You would say, "What is it, sweetheart? Okay, no, I understand. Thank you so much for letting me know where you are, but trust me, I got this. We got this." And you can, the I who has this, because we are allowed in this duality experience to go ahead and place that I in the faith of source energy. Sometimes we have to let it come back to the power of us, but you can go ahead and say, I'm trusting in source energy who loves me, who created me, of which I am a perfect expression. And we get to do that too. So does that sound good, Ashley?
That sounds perfect.
Great.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for calling in. And
thank you, Ashley.
We'll talk to you another time.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
We're just about out of time. So, Patrick, we are going to do two things. I want you to please tell everyone how they can get in touch with you. And then we're going to end the show with one of Patrick's songs. And I want you to tell them about that too.
Okay, yeah. So you can find me real simple, Patrick Haize. That's my name. Patrick, HAIZE.com is my website. You can also find me on YouTube. That's youtube.com/Patrick Haize Live. You can find me on Instagram. So that's Instagram /Patrick Haize. And I have this song that we're going to be playing right here. Actually, I'm releasing a music video for it on the 8/8 portal. So you can keep your eyes open for that. I'll be putting it on my YouTube channel and I'll be launching it on Facebook, and I'll also be putting it on my website. So you can check out for this song. So this song right here is essentially, it's framed from the perspective of from a past experience in which a higher self version of me, funny enough, my higher self came and visited me. It's cool. Synchronistic with this last call. Came and visited me in 2011, and needless to say, it was a very transformational experience. But this song is actually a representation of that experience. And it kind of takes the beginning of the experience through the integration and then the dialogue between my higher self and me, empowering me to step into what my gifts are and what my goals are, and my higher expression is. And so this also acts as a catalyst for anybody else that listens to it to kind of ride that frequency bandwidth of connecting with your higher self and having that empowerment on our daily path. So it's a great tool to listen to in the morning to get yourself hyped, to get yourself ready, and to find your mission in the world.
Thank you so much, Patrick. Well, y'all stick around and listen to this. Patrick, thank you so much for being on the show today. And everyone, I hope you will join me again next week at 11 a.m. Pacific. And thank you for tuning in. I love you, whoever you are.
The moment is I create my own reality, though I don't control it. I have just enough control to lose myself into the moment as I let the moment flow. I don't know where this road ends, but I know that I'm going to where I'm supposed to be going, cause I create my own reality. No, I don't control it. I have just enough control to lose myself into the moment as I let the moment flow. I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I'm gonna be where I'm supposed to be. The future's talking to me. I can hear the echoes calling through the canyons. I can see my truth laughing back at me. As beauty glances, I can feel the ceiling expanding by the second. And the music is a tool I use for blooming my reflection. I'm a drifter of dimensions, innovating my expression as the ever-changing faces of my scintillating essence. I live for the epiphanies, contradicting my pretenses, and embrace the ever-changing, unanticipated question. I let expectations go, and my creations grow greater than I could ever claim to know. Before I started to create them, through the ever-changing flow, all my trust is in this moment, cause this moment is forever, where eternity is waiting. I cooperate with knowing, though I don't know how I know. I do know how it feels, and that's all I need to go by. Into the outer realms, past all boundaries, my soul flies, astounded by the beauty that surrounded me. A whole lot. I create my own reality, though I don't control it. I have just enough control to lose myself into the moment as I let the moment flow. I don't know where this road ends, but I know that I'm going to where I'm supposed to be going, cause I create my own reality. No, I don't control it. I have just enough control to trust myself within this moment as I let the moment flow. I don't know where I'm going, but I know that I'm gonna be where I'm supposed to be. I talk to planets in my dreams. They speak to me in frequencies as geometric greens, at speeds beyond conception. I've met ascended beings that have presented a reality of balanced inner peace. So it's from here I choose to ground and meet this moment with equality, acceptance and neutrality, flowing my expression from the center of this balancing, inventing ways to be that extend to you in alchemy that betters the existence of everything surrounding. Each second is infinity, expressed in its totality, and the essence of divinity is present in the now of each reflection of existence. And as we tune into this power, the momentum of our bliss embodies heaven through our flowering. I create my own reality. No, I don't control it. I have just enough control to love myself within this moment as I let the moment flow. That's when the future spoke to me, and that's when the truth spoke through me. And it said, there's something on this planet that you came to do, and by engaging in it, it awakens you, and you remember.